I don't know whether
Whatever.
we're live or
Live.
not, but
Whatever.
All
Live.
right,
Hi,
well,
welcome. Discussing Tabletop.
you missed what I was talking
we're
about, which is
professionals.
Really high professionals.
good. Super high quality.
Super, super high quality. I keep this show to the highest of qualities and highest of standards.
That's why we're always on time.
Always on time, forever.
I mean, you know,
100 years on time.
one
why
of
we-
these days I will be back on time for like stuff, you know, and then it'll be like, wow, I've fixed my like terrible scheduling, and you know,
We're always on time. We never run over time. We always stay on topic.
these are things. Hey,
I
look,
used to work,
You can
and,
do that
I-
thing you wanted to do.
I show up to work for like 20 minutes, half an hour early.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how I was raised. Just, you don't just show up exactly on time because then you're late. Because there's things you need to do when you arrive at the job to like
Yeah.
True, yeah.
That's
get
true.
ready. What we're gonna talk about?
We have a docket.
Oh yeah,
There's a
I can spell
docket
that
or
word.
something.
Yeah, there's a
I
docket.
think. Is that how you
God.
spell it? Hell yeah!
Hell yeah.
Hey,
I did a
I'll
thing.
just
So-
pull up every magic spoiler.
Oh god. Yeah, we're gonna talk about some things today. We're gonna start with the big one is Adventures in Forgotten Realms, the D&D magic set, because it is crazy. I will throw out here a magic spoiler, which had some pretty good stuff in it.
I mean, I like what I see. So.
And I will also throw out the card image gallery from Wizards, because that's better organized, at least the and there
Some
we...
of those things I can talk about probably.
I mean, you can get a +2 mace.
You can. It's plus 2 mace. Everyone's favorite.
Well, I know what to give you guys
Favorite
later
lady.
today. Find a +2 mace. It's also cursed and it does -2 damage.
That's all it does.
So, like, Momo and I talked a little bit about last week how they introduced one mechanic, which was their dungeon mechanic, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Where certain cards allowed you to move through this extra card called a dungeon you'd keep track of, and as you went through them, you got abilities, so it's sort of like exploring and finding stuff in a dungeon. Interesting idea. The big other thing I've noticed is there's enchantments called classes, so you could have a class.
Oh,
Yeah, you can
hell
have
yeah.
class enchantments are a thing, and they're actually pretty neat.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty cool. Also, level up is back.
Yeah. Now this is for specifically for the enchantments. It looks like that you have to spend EXP, or no, you spend you basically pay mana cost again, and you get level ups, and you get everything from each of the levels. It says, which is neat.
Yeah, I mean it's a cool mechanic. I like cards that you can spend mana on to make them do things and change. Like someone said what they were called, and I forgot. They're like the story cards, that kind of thing. I like those.
Yeah,
Like they change over time.
yeah, that's it's very neat. I think the other interesting thing is they have like all the flavor words, where it's sort of like rather than having special abilities, they've got all these like flavor text that like that's what you're doing. Like, I think some good examples would be like where quickly.
Just saw this token. I just scrolled down and saw
Oh,
the hamster.
yeah.
Uh-oh.
What is that from? Is that Critical Role or something else?
No, that's Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, that's from Baldur's
Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
giant miniature space hamster.
Yeah,
Oh, that's right. It's the giant miniature space.
it's a giant miniature space hamster.
I forgot. Boo. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Go for the eyes, boo.
That was just so great to see that too. It's like, well, that's a thing that you're doing.
Yeah, it's really good.
I don't remember where things are from. Is the problem, So it's like I could remember Boo was from something, but I couldn't remember what.
He's God, what I range right Minsk or whatever.
Yeah, Minsk.
that
Yeah,
is.
Minsk,
He's a
that's
cool
the dude.
boy.
He's a beloved ranger, and he's also in the set, and he creates a
Yeah.
Boo token.
Is he a ranger though?
He is a ranger, yeah.
Okay, I don't remember.
He's a ranger with a greatsword.
Ah, the classic ranger.
Here's like one of the examples of it is choose one of if you meet in a tavern, you can either have the ability form a party or start a brawl.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
I like these cards.
They have cards with like stories on them, and
Also, Xanathar is in this set, and he's a card that is fuck you in particular, because you play him, and then at the start of every, I think, your upkeep, you pick a opponent and say, you can't cast spells right now. You can't do anything on my turn.
And guess what? I can start playing cards from your deck.
Yeah.
Oh no.
He's a fuck you in particular. I might build a Xanathar deck if I don't care.
Oh man.
He's the first time I played blue in a long time.
And they have like that you roll d20s. Oh, there's the spell. There's the spell critical hit. I love that one. It's card trigger double strike until turn. When you roll a natural 20, return critical hit from your graveyard to your hand.
Oh, I like that.
Nice.
There's some cool stuff here. Of course, they have Gelatinous Cube, the classic.
Mm-hmm.
That's here.
Just
Manticore.
reminds me of a trap that I've heard about with the cube. It's a tangent though. So.
Oh, fine. Go ahead. Gelatinous cubes are wonderful to talk about.
They're like the best creature in D&D.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a trap room, and you enter, and the door will like close behind you, and there's a left or right. If you go left, it's a gelatinous cube with like a chest or a key or something, and it's exactly the size of the hallway. And if you run away from it, it follows you, and you run into a false door. And if you try and open the door, it opens up and you fall into a pit of spikes, which is exactly the same size as the gelatinous cube. And then the gelatinous cube slides down in and then goops down the hole on top of you.
Nice.
That's a trap from a book.
I like that.
It's pretty much a party dies trap.
Yep.
So dumb.
No, I mean like
50 feet of rope. Yeah, that's an artifact. You can get
50 feet of rope.
Wow.
one cost artifact.
It's the thing is like okay. There's a lot of like just silly things like they have treasure chest as a artifact, but also mimic.
Yeah.
No, we already had one of those.
But there's some genuinely like pretty neat stuff that's been I guess spoiled. Like Zariel, she's a card. She's a planeswalker, and she's actually like a pretty decent one.
Sweet.
I wonder why certain things ended up like as planeswalkers.
Like the Bard from
the Bard.
Drizzt stuff.
Yeah,
for some reason.
It's weird. You know?
See, she kind of makes sense as a planeswalker because she's like she's like the Archduke of Avernus. She like rules Avernus, and she can travel from there to the material plane and bullshit. So she kind of makes sense. But a Bard's a Bard. They don't even get plane shift as a spell.
And
it's not on their lists.
Yeah, and they have other bards that exist in like it because
yeah.
They have like I'm looking here because I noticed Orcus is here, but I'm like Orcus is just a demon. I'm like, isn't he slightly more than that? And like other
Volo's
in the set. Why isn't he a fucking planeswalker? He literally travels planes and looks at monsters.
Whenever people talk about Volo, I think of the Volus from Mass Effect, the little round guys in spacesuits.
He would be a much better character if he was that.
I know. Every time people talk about the Volos guys and stuff, I'm like, the round little dudes, space guys? Without fail. Mass Effect has ruined me on that name.
You're welcome.
The planeswalker choices are weird.
I definitely agree. Like, it's the three of them that I've seen so far. Loth was the one they showed before, and there's other two.
Loth is just disappointing as a card.
Yeah. I mean, they have the Tarask.
They do have a Tarask.
Yeah. If it's stronger than Loth, that's pretty bad.
It's pretty strong.
It's a 10-10, and it has haste and ward 10, as long as it was cast, and whenever it attacks, it basically murders something on the opponent's team.
Does it also regen any of the defense value of the creature that it murders on its turn, and also has like unkillable trait where you can only kill it with a magic spell?
No.
It really should, but no.
That'd be ridiculous.
Too strong.
I mean, be accurate to the game.
Also, one of the lands, the special lands, Bugbear's Den or whatever, has the same kind of like alternate card art that the other land has of like the classic D&D book.
Yeah.
Like the 1E adventure, which is freaking. I like that.
Oh yeah, they have like apparently all like a bunch of the special lands have that, like Cave of the Frost Dragon, Dungeon's Descent, Hive of the Eye Tyrant. They look really cool. And I saw, which I think might be in the spoiler section. I saw it earlier in the week when I checked them. If I can find it. I saw a version of the Flump, which was really neat looking.
Oh. Flump, was he a gangster with a knife?
No,
he should have been.
That should be the alternate art.
That's the level up art. When you level up a Flump, he becomes a gangster
gets
with a knife.
I will make a Flump deck, a Flump artifact deck, and give a Flump a knife.
Yes.
And then a +2 mace.
Oh hell yeah! +2 mace Flump.
Then you can just be like, I've got a +2 mace, bitches.
He'll beat you with it.
I'm sorry, the freaking gangster Flump was like one of the best characters.
It is such a good character.
Mm-hmm. One of the variants was just like the Flump, except it was its stat block. So it's not even like the normal magic card, it's just the stat block. That's
nice.
It was like, wow, that's the thing.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah. They're probably doing that with some other creatures too. I mean, they're doing a lot of like the classic D&D stuff. It's just like, and some interesting ideas. I'm just curious as to how, like, trying to... It seems like it's easier to translate stuff from Magic to D&D because D&D has its systems in place, where Magic has to kind of make its own system, so I'm just curious as like how well things translate and how it feels.
I mean, there's already like some numbers I disagree with, like Atropal being only a 4/4 despite it literally being a dead god. That is like a CR go fuck yourself.
CR no.
CR, have some fun.
CR party wipe, there you go.
Speaking of party wipes, that reminds me of another tangent, though. I don't remember it enough to talk too much about it, but I think it's the Ultra Tomb of just all your characters die or whatever. And it was being run at a convention, and there's this obelisk, and the module is like, don't let the players push this over or like identify it or something. And then the head DM guy is like, that'll never happen. No party will do that. Foreshadowing.
Bold assumption.
So it's like, all right, well, we'll read this part anyway, and it's like this super powerful like greater devil or demon or something, right? And he's like, it's like 2nd edition or something, he's just immune to just so much stuff unless you're like a high level party. And so the DM who was running the table, the party's like, we're gonna identify this weird obelisk, and then they're like, let's push it down. So they're at a convention, right? So there's a bunch of different tables, and their table starts chanting, push it down, push it down. So all the other DMs are looking over to this table like, what is going on? And so they push it over and they fight this dude who's just like immune to basically every spell they cast, and like has regen and has like magic attacks and stuff. And so like the party survives somehow because it's just a timed event, right? So like he's now free, woo! And so after the fight, the party's like, cool, we won. Did we get any experience? And the DM's like, no. It's like, do we get any loot? And the DM's like, no. So did we just waste our time? Yeah. because the encounter is just designed to dick with you.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Tangents.
Yeah, I like this set. I have like no issues with it so far, aside from some weird planeswalker choices. And...
Why is the Sphere of Annihilation not legendary?
Yeah, that's weird.
Can I have multiple Spheres of Annihilation out at once?
that seems safe.
The first one was a great idea. That's why we'll get more of them.
Yeah.
What happens if you have more than one?
I don't know.
Something terrible, probably.
Yeah, they explode on each other.
Do you collide them into each other and
don't let the orbs touch?
Put one orb inside the other orb?
Yeah.
Sure. I do also like how they made Intellect Devourer a spell rather than an actual creature.
Yeah.
That's very silly.
I don't know. It could be like a 2/1 creature or something. With a special
I do
ability
really
to
like this.
mind
You
meld.
see a pair of goblins card. Choose one. Charge them or befriend them.
Yeah, you see a pair of goblins. It doesn't say they're aggressive. You can just be like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" "Oh, we're fine."
Create 2/1/1 red goblin token.
Yeah, they just hang out with you. I'm just gonna take care of something here because it should.
Oh, I was
nice.
you know, I can do that. I was being messaged.
Don't worry, I took care of it. I got to it first.
I do
my job
genuinely
away.
like that. A lot of the instances are like actions or like a thing a DM would say.
Yes.
I really like that.
I do like that they have those series of U cards where like you choose one or the other. Like you come to a river, current or fight the current.
Here's something on watch.
Yeah.
You see a guard approach.
Yeah. Do you kill them or be friends or like talk to them nicely?
Distract the guard and you'll hide.
Eat all the drugs.
Eat drugs. Feed them to the fox.
Yeah. Oh no. Give the drugs to the shape-shifting person, and have them shape-shift into a fox, so that they can't get the drugs.
God, yeah. Just put these inside. Oh God.
Quick, eat these.
Oh no.
That just yeah, that's the thing that yeah. Anyway.
Oh no, is that gonna happen to Vera now that she can become a small fox?
Well, you do have drugs on you.
I do have drugs. It's true. Somehow every monk I play ends up with drugs.
That's weird.
That is very strange. Yeah. So, a lot of neat stuff. Definitely got a very good D&D feel to it. A lot of interesting stuff from the Forgotten Realms. Some stuff I certainly don't remember. Like, I'm sure a lot of these characters are like, "Oh, hey, that's so-and-so." I'm like, great!
Who's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, references.
Yeah. Ooh, references I don't remember.
The only reference you need is Flump.
I mean, I could send a Displacer Beast or a Manticore after you.
Ooh,
No,
Manticore!
Flump.
Manticore.
What about Manticore?
That's later on.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
It's like,
traffic.
hey there.
I've heard you're looking for me. Here I am.
The other thing related to this, which I will link here, is rather than doing like a magic story, rather than doing a magic story, they released a 8th level adventure.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah, like a free 8th level adventure. Instead of doing like a normal story related to it, it's like, here, you can do your own story for it. I'm like, I really kind of
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually kind of neat.
Yeah.
Little one shot or two session deal.
Yeah, that was really neat of them to do, and I'm like, it's something they definitely, it's like something they easily could do, and I'm like, oh man, that's such a good idea.
Time to run it.
Yeah. Then try to run it, and then buy some cards.
Yeah, and then buy the magic cards.
Yeah, exactly. See, they're like, hey, you can enjoy this adventure. Now buy our cards.
All the cards.
All the cards. So, yeah. Man, I don't want much else to say about this set. I don't know if we'll see much more before it officially comes out, but maybe you know, if Momo and I get some cards, we'll talk about them in the future or something. Or like, I'll check the spoilers.
I might buy a box when it comes out, provided I have, you know, the money and work.
We shall see. But okay, let's talk about some Pathfinder, because
Pathfinder, everyone's favorite.
Yeah. Well, 2E is pretty high on the list right now. They're doing a book about the Mwangi Expanse, and this is something I was thinking about, and I was like, they've talked about the Mwangi Expanse a bunch, but I don't know if they've done like direct books on them per se.
I think it's kind of a difficult one to do correctly.
Haven't they done at least one?
They may have.
Because I feel like I remember reading that when I was doing a bunch of pirate research, and I remember that coming up.
They may have done one for what?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna check to see. They have a campaign setting.
Yeah, just Google it.
From it looks like they might have an adventure now.
They don't. They have adventures and stuff set in it, but what if I'm looking here and no actual book comes up for 1E?
But isn't this an area you can go and explore in a certain Skull and Shackle area?
Not really. It's off of the. It's the area you're in Skulls and Shackles is kind of off the coast of it. So theoretically, you could go there, but really, they talk about it in like their campaign setting books and stuff like that. They're like larger books.
they don't really have like a dedicated book to it yet.
Okay, because I remember seeing that when I was looking at that stuff up, because I was like, my character's like from this area. They should know about this area. That means I need to know about this area. And I remember seeing it when I was looking, but I guess it doesn't come up in the adventure.
I guess it's because, like, most people just don't really think about jungle adventure when they think of like, Pathfinder or D&D.
I mean, isn't that what Tomb of Annihilation is jungle adventure?
Yeah, but Tomb of Annihilation has his writing problems and his gameplay problems.
I feel like it's the same thing that kind of... There's this, like, fine line that kind of exists in the way they present both the Mwangi Expanse and like Chult and stuff, because again, it logically makes sense. The people that were always on the closest to the equator tended to be more darker skinned people.
Yeah, it's a touchy subject.
But the way you display it, like there have been issues I know in the past with the way Chult has been shown.
I know with Tomb of Annihilation has an issue of like almost kind of like a bit colonized-y issues are brought up in that book, and that's part of the reason why I'll never run it personally, is because I don't think I can handle that well enough.
I guess I'd have to read the book, but I have it. It's just when I was reading through it, and one of the little things is like, hey, this is a meat grindery game. If you want to just murder all your players.
It's also got those problems as well.
So I'm like, oh, no, this is like the second 5e game these two people have played.
Yeah, don't meat grinder them.
No, I'm not gonna meat grinder them.
Yeah, I feel like Pathfinder does a better job of being like, there is, more diversity in other races and stuff. And
even just like the Inner Sea, which is just like the small part of Galorian. It's like pretty diverse culturally, what it's based on.
Well, it's like I was gonna say they make it like slightly appropriate other ways. It's sort of like it's not just darker skinned humans that are from there, but like the elves that are in those regions are darker skinned. They're more like they are adapted to that area. And oh hey, lizard folk live in that area because it's a warm area. Things like that. That like it logically they try to make sense environmentally with how the cultures would have developed and stuff.
Yeah, it usually works out pretty well.
Yeah.
In Storm King's Thunder, because I'm trying to run that. I've been trying to run it for the last week, but that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
In some of the encounters you have, just regular people or whatever, it mentions like a group of people. So there's like one or two people that are important in the group, and then it's like, here's a bunch of people that are with them, right? and it's weird because it has a habit of saying like men and women of different ethnicities, which is, I guess, inclusive, but it also feels a little dismissive. It's just like, you can do whatever, right? It's a really weird thing to read as like text as a DM reading an adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just something that I've noticed.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, that's a weird thing to mention, I guess.
Well,
because I don't think about it like that, really.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, I myself I don't usually look at things as, you want to make your world feel alive, but again, you don't want to make too much of problems that exist, real or fantasy, be an issue in your world.
These are games we play to escape from said issues.
Yeah. So it's sort of like, it's some of those things that kind of like, I know are things that come up and do exist because of the nature of things, but like, it gets into like, how elves and dwarves hate each other and are going to talk about each other. That kind of like, that kind of has like weird implications sometimes depending on how deep you take it. And I think it's that when someone does a book like this, set in an area that feels very like the jungles of Africa, because that's kind of a lot of inspiration for Mwangi Expanse, for Chult, they are fantasy versions of these things, but like, you have to remember, Faerun is very much so, and their planet Toril is analogous to Earth, it's very Earth. And
Foxy continent that you guys are playing in, I model that after Africa as far as like climate and stuff.
Okay, that's neat.
Yeah,
but like, I feel Pathfinder is a little better because they don't have that same kind of model. They do use knowledge of cultures and areas from Earth as examples to kind of build off of and make their own things, but they're not as beholden to it in a way. And so I'm going to be glad to see more of this. The adventure I've been doing, my Pathfinder 2nd Edition game, has us in the Mwangi Expanse. We've been there for a little bit, trying to fight a evil dragon cult, which is trying to like resurrect their god or something there.
Dragon cult?
Yeah.
No one would do that.
And we're helping out some elves that are living there. We made friends with them, and they're like, we've been like cursed by like these mystical totems and stuff. And we're like, okay, we'll go take care of those since, we're not elves from the Mwangi Expanse. We're immune to that. We're just gonna push these over. But technically, they have horrible dragon heads that shoot massive amounts of like dark death energy at us when we're trying to approach them.
That doesn't sound very nice.
Yeah, that seems fine.
But eventually, we push them over. It's just a process.
Did it summon an evil pig demon from under the depths of hell or something when you pushed over the dark dragon head thing?
No, but like the last one we fought was guarded by these little gremlins that are small size and have the ability to swallow whole anything of medium size or smaller.
That sounds weird.
Ooh, that's I'm just gonna not talk about that anymore.
That is a weird thing that exists. Gremlins. I'm going to go for sounds like a weird horror movie rather than internet.
Pretty weird.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot better.
Yeah. There were probably 80s horror movies that had stuff like that. Thank you, the 80s.
I mean, probably.
The 80s did so many good things for us.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
Thank you, 80s. You are the existence of my reason of birth.
I mean, I can say the same thing.
I think we all can.
Thanks, 80s.
I was born in you.
I remember portions of you, briefly. Sort of.
Yes, I remember the decade I wasn't born in. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was born there, remember brief amounts of stuff from that decade.
I probably don't, because I wasn't very old when the 80s were over.
Born in the early 90s.
See, I remember more the 90s.
So I remember the 90s, unfortunately.
The 90s were my life.
Mm-hmm. The 90s.
The book seems pretty neat, though.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
This little, summary.
I'm glad to have it. I feel like there's a lot of regions in the Pathfinder world that need to be expanded on more, and if they're doing it in 2nd edition, great. You know?
Yeah. I mean, the great thing about lore is it doesn't have to be trapped in a single rule set.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can use this lore for 1E.
Yep.
Yeah. Or not Pathfinder.
Yeah.
You could just use the Pathfinder world and have like a 2d20 system or something. That's kind of the nice thing about lore.
Yeah, the world of Galarian could be used in any system, fantasy
like
system.
Like Starfinder, for example.
Well, I mean, like
theoretically,
Starfinder is a fantasy system. Probably. It's a space fantasy, but it's a fantasy system.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Conan.
Oh boy.
Oh, which one?
There are 2 things that I saw that I want to kind of talk about here. Two books. That they,
Conan the Comedian or Conan the Barbarian?
I mean, these are fortunately no longer Conan, I have a title, that's my entire existence, for once. They have... I don't even know if they've had one of these before. They have an adventure. A campaign.
Oh,
shit.
Wave-stained Crimson Campaign. I'm like, wow. There are 5 adventures creating a series of challenges for even the most experienced players.
I have heard about this system and how it's pretty brutal. It is a meat grinder, the rule book.
I mean, again, meat grinder systems are not bad if you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
You know, I'd say, like, freaking 2nd edition's very meat grindery. You know?
Yeah.
You die so horribly and get, like, screwed over so badly. 2nd edition D&D.
Oh, you like negative levels? Here, have some more negative levels.
They're permanent, and you just lose that level. Hey, you were a wizard? Ooh, you were already behind in levels to everybody else? Ooh, sorry.
Oh, well. Try again next week.
Mm-hmm. And the other one, which is a really weird book, because how popular is this game still? Conan the Exiles. Based on the Conan Exile game.
I mean...
I think it's doing pretty good still.
Yeah,
okay.
I think it does alright on Twitch. So, like, it's got that, like, following.
I think it's had an update pretty recently.
The only thing I know about this game is it has a dick slider.
It does.
It's the only thing I know about that game.
Candace is taking a drink. Amazing.
Unfortunately, I didn't quite have the drink in my mouth for the dick slide. I'm like as soon as you said that, I'm like, I remembered that was a thing, but it was also just saying it just is.
The only thing I know about that game, and aside from it being a survival game as well.
It's like, basically Ark, but Conan.
Yeah.
But isn't it kind of MMO-y too? Also?
It is multiplayer, right?
It's multiplayer. It's
okay,
not
it's
MMO.
multiplayer. So okay, so is it closer to something like?
It's like Ark.
Okay, I was thinking, but maybe pushing it more towards something like Rust, but that's.
It has NPCs as well. You can like have air quotes minions in your camps.
Would players murder each other?
They could. Well, that's the same with Ark.
It's the same with like every multiplayer game.
But a lot of times people just play on their own on Mark. Ark. I mean, Mark?
On Mark?
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
I see you playing alone by yourself. No, as far as I understand, if you're playing on public servers on Ark, people will go and find you and kill you because they can.
Wow. That sounds about right for
yeah.
That's why I don't really play multiplayer games.
Yeah, this is why I don't play
at least public.
Yeah, that's why I don't public server these kind of games. Ever.
Yeah.
Only multiplayer game I play, PvP is optional.
Which game is that?
Final Fantasy.
Oh, yeah. I have not booted up that game in like
I booted it up like 2 days ago. And I played for like 3 hours.
So, I mean, like, I'm always glad to see when Modiphius is doing more stuff for their, titles and stuff. And, again, like, the Conan books, I always joked with Joe in older episodes about how, like, they always have, like, you know, Conan's got a new job this week, and, you know, that's great. But actual adventures is seemingly, like, something... If they've done it before, they've done it kind of sneakily. I'm sure they have done stuff before, but they don't have the same fanfare, like, you know, and that's kind of not good. A couple of, like...
reminds me, I have to link something after this show and
It is also,
make a
like,
joke.
There's also Conan, which doesn't have, like, the biggest, like, name impact these days.
Like, for me, from the 90s, Conan the Adventurer, come on, we could use it. I want to fight Lizard Man and, you know, get some star medal.
It's not the 90s anymore.
You gonna make some explosive gunpowder and blow up the lizard? I mean, Gorn?
That's the 70s, thank you. And I'm the Gorn, I'm not blowing up, bitch.
Blow yourself up, you Dr. Gorn.
Sorry, I'm too busy being the doctor.
I'm
Be
too
the
busy
best
sitting around
doctor.
for half an episode.
You know, you're also like Lloydberg, you know?
Kind of, because you're like, well, you strange mammalian creature, here you go. I've learned enough about you to put you back together. Don't worry about it.
Good, congratulations. It's for you.
My doctorate's in art history.
Oh no!
that's the wrong kind of doctor that you want. Yep. So, glad to see the Conan games. Neat. Stuff for it. Renegade Game Studios had just a random free content Friday, they called it, which I think is pretty neat. They have apparently here they have two things. First off, they apparently have a Twitch campaign called Rag and Bones, I'm guessing set in their Outbreak Undead universe, that they do probably weekly, I'm assuming. I don't know anything about it. But
Kids on Brooms.
So I knew about, like, Kids on Bikes, which is a system. I didn't know Kids on Brooms was a thing.
Kids on Bikes.
Is that the Harry Potter?
It's the Wizard School one.
Yeah, it's the wizardy one.
They've gotten 3 of them. They've also gotten, like, Teens in Space, and then the Kids on Bikes was the first one. Then it was Teens in Space. Now it's Kids on Brooms.
Like, I honestly,
What is
Kids
Skull
on,
one?
I don't know.
That's spooky.
Oh, the skull one of the things?
I think that's Outbreak Undead.
Yeah, it's Outbreak
right?
Undead.
Ah, I mean, duh. I totally knew that. I was testing you.
It's like a zombie apocalypse kind of RPG.
Kids on Zombies?
I mean, that's it.
Kids
That's.
on Bike is kind of, you can do zombies in that, I think.
I feel like Kids on Bikes, if you do zombies, though, it's going to be a little bit more cheesy, you know.
Yeah, it's gonna be like the
No.
cheesy B movie,
Yeah.
right?
No, you gotta go like
Zombies
Dead,
ate my neighbors, kind of thing.
where kids are being eaten alive.
Mhm.
really do that dark horror. Like,
Oh,
oh no!
oh.
Then I'm not doing Kids on Bikes, I'm doing Outbreak Undead, but pretending
Yeah.
it's Kids on Bikes.
I mean, from what I've heard, Kids on Bikes is, like, not bad.
You
Kids on Brooms could be good.
I think it's just like changing the settings and like some rules. It's sort of
And-
like, and the two things is they've got adventures. They've got like, I guess, secret party research project at a wizard school, and like, you know, some kind of magic tournament thingy. You know, the usual kind of. I mean, like, granted, like, it's an unfortunate thing that, like, you know, Harry Potter is the kind of like wizard school now people think of, but
Yeah.
as someone
Unfortunately.
as someone that was, you know, back in the 90s and stuff, there were other sources of wizard schools
Yeah.
and stuff. I mean, they exist. It's been a concept. Wizard
Yeah,
schools, witches schools, magic user schools. It's a thing that has been around.
mean,
I
I'd,
have
like-
one in my world.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I have been toying around with running a magic school game. I could use this.
Yeah. I mean, like,
Or not.
Or
magic.
not. I could use D&D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Magic has Strixhaven, and now
Yeah.
they're doing it in D&D, which is their
Oh
wizarding
man.
school.
Oh, that thing.
Yeah. Which is their wizarding school, you know? That's what it is. It's just a wizarding school, so.
It's fun time, not Harry Potter adventures, because I hate Harry Potter.
Yes.
I don't hate it, but
I'm
it.
not a fan.
I feel like it's got overhyped to the point
Yeah.
where it's getting negative hype?
I did not read the books, didn't want to.
I read 3 of the books, and I've seen 4 of the movies, and that's enough for me.
I think I saw all the movies just in general because some of my friends really wanted to see them, and I'm like, I'll go along because, you know, going out and hanging out with friends.
And that's why it's the only reason I watched Endgame. Hey, some people wanted to go see it. I'm like, sure, I haven't seen half these movies. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
I think I've seen most of the Harry Potter movies. I've barely seen any of the Marvel movies. But before they were like a whole cinematic universe, and it was just like, hey, here's Avengers, and here's like a bunch of Iron Man movies. Yeah. I saw those, you know, Captain America.
Captain America, the best superhero because he's American.
Yeah, he's American.
Punches Nazis.
I also watched both Guardians of the Galaxy. I loved those movies. Those were awesome.
Yeah.
I don't really care about the rest.
That's fair.
It's like... It's the fact that, like, I'm a big, old, not only comic book fan, but Marvel fan from the early days, you know? So I can say, like, hey, Marvel's doing something. I'm like, I'm kind of interested. Back in the, you know, my childhood in the 90s, you know, I think it started, like, early childhood probably was, like, you know, Batman, Superman, but then, like, you know, you get into your like 9, 10, and then it's like, oh, it's Wolverine. He's cool.
Oh yeah, he's cool
and edgy and like, you know,
claws. He's got metal in his body.
Yeah, he fights big monsters and gets the crap beat out of him. It's awesome, you know, things like that. And so that was like, DC kind of didn't have that stuff, so I just kind of turned away from them. You know, never went back.
DC has everyone's favorite hero, Aquaman, with his fish-talking powers.
They have done so much work to Aquaman in like the last 10 years or whatever to make him like this actual like super badass dude. If you've watched any of the animated DC things with Aquaman, he is such a badass in those movies. The dude cuts off his own hand to get out of a freaking trap or whatever, and then like he's just like stabs a spear end into his stump of a hand. He's like, all right, he wraps it up. I'm ready to go back to fight. It's like, oh Jesus.
Yep, sounds about right.
But like, I kind of like what some of the assumed lore is because they live on the bottom of the ocean. They're inherently tougher than like regular people, and that kind of makes sense to me because I like things a little bit more grounded in reality. I mean, you can just say magic, and that's like, okay, whatever, magic.
Yeah.
You know? But if you can tie it a little bit into like, here's kind of why it is like it is, as opposed to just like, he's powered by the sun. Like, all right, that's cool, I guess.
I mean, that's why Batman is a lot more like popular because he's just
powered by his money.
He's powered by money. He really is. It's like, wow, that's a superpower anybody could earn.
It is.
One good joke in Justice League is, what's your superpower? I'm rich.
That's good.
It is the best superpower.
I mean, he also is like really dedicated and stuff. But
yeah, I mean, and he's like,
the rich joke is better.
I know, you know, he learned to be an actual detective, and you know, like actually has combat skills and like does a lot of other stuff, you know.
He's a trained assassin who doesn't kill people.
Yeah, he trained as an assassin and a ninja and like etc. Yes, okay. But anyway, we've been digressing because we went to like, you know, from wizard school to this.
talking about DC.
Yeah, we started talking about superheroes.
Yeah, it was really because I was trying to say there was other wizard schools before Harry Potter. It's just Harry Potter took over.
What's this? This next thing? Sticky?
This one concerns me.
All right, yeah, here you go. Let's just put this link to the game. Sticky Cthulhu.
I'm afraid to click it. Okay, what is this?
Oh, yeah, they got the classic Lovecraft quote, but they put sticky in it instead.
Yep.
I'm not going to attempt to say that quote. I don't know how to pronounce that shit.
Yeah, okay, I see
that.
They just put sticky in there. Yeah, that is the thing they did. Anyway.
Cthulhu's been awakened.
So, apparently...
No, it's time to eat.
So, yeah. Apparently there was a game called Sticky Chameleon that Yellow did. And so now they're like, well, we did a chameleon game. What else can we brand this? Cthulhu.
Yeah, it's super relevant.
Discover the fun of Sticky Chameleon revisited by the universe of Cthulhu.
It comes with 8 sticky tentacles.
And 30 creature tokens.
It just sounds so bad. I couldn't help but talk about this because it sounds so bad. Why?
Don't worry, because it's coming to a summer near you in 2021.
Oh god, it sounds even worse than saying it that way.
Yes, you made the correct decision of putting this on the docket with 2 furries here.
You're welcome, world. This would have been perfect for Umber to show up. He's like, what the hell's going on here?
I'm gonna send it to Umber, hold on.
Yes, please
so
send.
Sticky.
Mm-hmm.
There's also 12 curse cards.
Yeah, curses, 5 investigators, 30 deep ones, the 30 creatures and colors, and I mean, there's a bunch of.
I'd play it.
Oh no! Roll the dice, catch and eat the cultists, and make your opponents go crazy. Electrifying, delicious. I mean, delirious, slimy, sticky Cthulhu is insanely hilarious. He'll go nuts. That last part.
I mean, it's coming out sometime this summer.
When I think of Cthulhu, I think of he's like an octopus man, so he's probably like slimy, not sticky.
Oh, he's sticky, all right. He's gonna eat the cultists.
I'm like, I'm curious to try to look up Sticky Chameleon now, and
I'm afraid to Google anything with the word sticky in front of it. I'm sorry.
Fair.
I'm not gonna Google it. I'm gonna search in Yellow's site. Yeah. There you go. Sticky Chameleon, where you're just a chameleon eating flies. Hey, that's so much nicer and less weird.
And less horrifying.
Yeah, 12 sticky tongues, 30 insect tokens, 6 wasps, 30 yummy tokens. Yummy tokens?
Oh, that's why there's 30 tokens. They're cultists that you're eating or something.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, that chameleon's not gonna cause 1,000 years of darkness and terror on the side.
No,
Cthulhu's gonna
he might have
that.
a tummy ache when he flies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh.
No. The fly one certainly is a little nicer, I'm gonna say.
Hey, these people have offices near where I live, I think. Well, not directly near where I live, but
I mean, it does suggest for me some local game stores that might have.
Yeah, it's stealing my IP address. So it knows where I live.
Nice.
So Cthulhu now knows shops near me.
In order to devour you.
I mean,
well, I'm just gonna close this.
I'll be honest. If you just brand anything Lovecraft, I'll probably play it.
Yeah, people will certainly buy it and play it.
Who doesn't want to devour some cultists?
I mean, exactly.
That's what you guys can do today.
Yeah, Viren's gonna turn into a fox and just start eating.
Eat the cultist.
Like, Viren, quit eating that cultist. See you from here, chewing on the dude.
Oh no. Oh. Well, I know what's happening today.
But yeah, Sticky Cthulhu. Let's move on to another board game that's less sticky. That's less sticky. Turbo Sleuth.
We don't know how sticky this is.
Hopefully, very little.
I guess I don't know how sticky it is.
Maybe we should have ended with sticky.
I promise. But we're moving on to deeper discussion. We need something to break it up from Sticky Cthulhu. Yeah. Gotta be honest.
Okay, that's fair. It's thing from WizKids. They do stuff.
They do stuff. Yeah. Murder has been committed. Old Mr. McCready's wastrel of a son, the suspicious maid, the business partner, the butler, who did it, and you're gonna have to look at clues and Discover who did it for the suspect.
You don't have to look for clues. You said butler.
Yeah, it's always the butler.
Yeah, so...
So it's a puzzle speed-solving game, which is a weird way of saying it. And I'm like, is it a speed puzzle game, then, kind of?
I just want to point out there's a literal knife on the table in the second screenshot that's showing off the board.
It's just an actual knife.
There's just an actual
there's
knife
an actual
there.
knife in there.
Every box comes with one real knife.
I think I want this, actually.
It comes with its own knife.
Which you can use to murder the guests. And then eat them.
Yeah.
For your dark overgod.
For Cthulhu.
For Cthulhu. So each round of the game has 2 phases. The first one, the players compete simultaneously to find a suspect and weapon amongst 3 clue cards in the center of the table, and use their answer cards to connect the suspect and weapon was used.
So it's like speed clue.
Yeah, it seems like Clue with a few extra steps.
Yeah. Analysis phase, end when all score tokens have been taken. Yeah. Then solution phase, we're determining the solution to the case using the solution key to match the cards used during the round and answer correctly. So yeah, it's like speed Clue. Takes 20 minutes to play, they say.
That sounds like a speed clue.
Yeah.
Which I guess, like, I'm not against that kind of thing. Because sometimes...
Multiple games in a night.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of little games in a night. And, like, especially if, like, what you're doing is trying out a couple of different games in an evening.
Yeah.
Smaller ones that are quicker. Pretty fun. And, you know, I'm one of those weirdos that...
10 plus.
Yeah. Because it has a knife in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't give the knife to a child younger than 10.
You have to be at least 10 to get the knife.
Yeah, it must be at least 10 to use knife.
I don't see these components knife. I'm just like, where's the knife? Which isn't in the pictures. If you go to their actual, like...
False advertising.
The actual, like, Turbo Sleuth page. They've got pictures of the knife in the picture.
Did someone put that there because, like, this is a murder mystery thing. Let's put a prop knife here. And not realize that there's no knives in the game.
Maybe that was the weapon. It's just a knife card. And you're like,
Yeah.
I'm disappointed. I want an actual knife that I could be like, this is the murder weapon.
See, look, if I stab people with it, they'd get killed.
You can't kill people. That's illegal.
Well, I was gonna say I'm one of those weird people that actually like Clue, so I'd be like...
I mean, Clue's it's the classic board game.
I like Clue.
See,
I haven't played it in, like, ages.
We have people that like Clue here. I forget.
It's the classic board game.
I think Umber and Joe don't like Clue, both of them.
It is made even better when you roleplay your character.
I'm Professor Colonel Mustard. Yes.
Oh, Colonel Mustard's having war flashbacks again.
I would love to do D&D Clue, but you just roll up a D&D character and then play them in the Clue game. Role-playing.
That'd be so good.
That would be wonderful. Where you're trying to figure out, like, who's done it. Just do it.
Yeah. And like I'm gonna go to this room. I'm gonna roll investigation. Well, you're gonna find something no matter what. But then you can roll dice and be like, unless you roll a 1, you'd be like, nope, nothing in here. I mean, you could take that board game and without using any mechanics in D&D other than like rolling a character, make it absolutely insane bonkers. Yeah, and it'd be great.
Yep. You just turn it into a D&D adventure and make it just so silly.
I mean, I do eventually have talked about just running Clue.
I have thought about it. Technically, I made a map to do it in.
I don't think I'm smart enough to run that. I'm an idiot.
I could. It's a challenge. I'd have to, like... I feel like it's something you have to set up stuff for.
Yeah, I'm not super great with mystery.
You definitely need to set up. I think what it would be is you'd have to write... Because they need, like, alibis and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they need to have, like... Well, this is what they will say. This is what is true, you know? And then you don't have to tie a name to it. You can just roll a dice and figure out who has this alibi or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then, like, who was with who or whatever. I think it's doable. It'd just be a lot of prep. that's on the DM. But like once all that prep is done, you're just done. You can just play it over and over again because it's all randomized.
Yeah.
I just don't want to do that right now.
Yeah,
I have other things to plan.
Same.
This is why I use things like the Carrying Crown book, which unfortunately has a very bad murder mystery, which I was hoping would work better, but it didn't.
Even a murder mystery.
It's supposed to be, but
it's like a murder mystery that they just show you immediately.
Yeah, he's like, I'm here and I'm murdering people. Hey, we found the culprit. He's here and he's murdering us.
I by that time I'm like, you've been here long enough. You're done. You're done, because they bring in the murder so late. It's so.
That's what they should have done.
It's such a weird adventure.
Oh, like the first murder should just be on its own, and like it should be like some time before the next one. So it's sort of like,
You know what its problem is? It's tied to a different adventure hook.
Yeah, that's
it really shouldn't be. Because you don't show up there as investigators to this murder. You show up there to be like, hey, we're looking for these people that we know have been here. Oh, someone died here? We don't care. That's not why we're here.
Yeah. Well, it could be like, here's a hook that would work pretty well, and it could be related to a little bit to what's going on, overall plot. The first thing you do is you get recruited by the werewolf hunter. Okay. While you're with the werewolf hunter, someone is found murdered. Meaning when you and the werewolf hunter come back, guess what? You're the only people that could investigate this, and you came here with the portents of the Palatine Eye, so he might be like, the Palatine Eye would love this, why don't you investigate for a favor, I can help you out, looking for this other stuff. And maybe get rid of the entire, stupid evil guy in charge thing, and just make it a murder mystery.
I think it's more fun when you have an evil looking guy, but he's actually a good guy.
Yeah,
just a decent
just make it that he's done a few shady things. He's not really involved with stuff, but it's not anything that really matters. And he asks you I will help you out, figure out what's going on with the Whispering Way if you figure out this murder.
I would go one step further and have it where the person who hired you ends up getting killed. Because then you have an attachment to it where it's like, hey, we want to go investigate this thing, but it's over here and we need to talk to some people there, and you show up and then he's gonna I'm not an adventurer, so he stays there.
If you're still doing it, it could be with the Carrying Crown, the judge says I've got a contact there who can give you some information. The contact's the one that gets murdered.
Yeah. Bam.
Yep.
Bam.
Yeah, that
just made that so much better.
Yeah.
The characters have to care about the person who gets murdered, because if they don't, it's like, all right, whatever, not our problem. We came here for a different reason. That sucks. Unless you're playing with super good characters or lawful good people, they're not going to care.
They give ways that it's supposed to make you care, but it just never works out. Building it is, it's just.
Yeah. We have gone into
super tangent.
We've gone into deeper discussion about a different discussion.
Yeah,
we're having our modules discussion again.
Yeah. Modules.
Well, this is more Carrying Crown discussion, which we should just back.
I mean, it's a lot of modules.
Yeah.
Yep. But anyway, Turbo Sleuth. Quick clue. That's neat.
Yeah.
It's probably a little more different than Clue, actually, but it's
similar theme.
The
murder mystery game.
Yeah.
Those are fun,
Speed
and
murder.
it does it quick, so you can quickly go through the adventure. All right. Shall we move on to our deeper discussion then?
Sure. I see what it says.
Yeah. Session 0 or Session 0.5 and their importance. So this is something that, I'm less a fan of Session 0 usually, and more of a make your first session a 0.5 session, I'd call it. That's my style normally, that you spend not an entire, a part of a session establishing everything and then throwing everybody together. But I understand there is goodness behind having a actual Session 0. Something that, you pick up your individual players and do a little something with them, play the little, part of the game with them to, introduce them to the world or their character.
ready for some hot takes?
Sure.
Yeah, you got a spicy take.
Well, maybe not really super spicy, but like I've been watching a bunch of professional DM things, and from my understanding, a traditional session 0 is no one has any characters, no one has any idea. Maybe they know what world they're playing in, right? And everyone gets together and talks about the characters they want to play, and then makes their characters there. So everyone makes their characters together. You talk with the DM if there's any questions. It's extra good for newer players to the game, because then you can talk with the DM, you can talk with the other players. It's all like a meta level thing to make sure everyone's happy with what they have. And that's, in my opinion, that's a traditional session 0.
Okay.
Where if you have more experienced players, I can see like a 0.5 thing where like, Tantus is our DM and like, hey, we're going to play in blah, 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 rule system. Do you guys need any assistance in making characters? No? All right. So then you show up and you have all your characters. You do a little brief like, okay, this is what I made. You double check, make sure everything's done. And then you just kind of like start the adventure, like character instruction and stuff. And I think that's better for people that are experienced players that don't really need as much handhold.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I definitely prefer the 0.5 because, again, I played a lot of tabletop, so like I don't really need the session 0 ruley chat kind of, this is what's okay, this is what's not okay, blah blah kind of stuff. But I will say, session 0's pretty good for stream games.
Yeah.
So you can because there's a lot of fluff for stream games sometimes, especially if you're using like a program like Roll20 and someone doesn't know it, you can handle that in session 0 off stream. You teach them how it works, and all that.
I think it's also what your definition of a session 0 is. Like, when you described a session 0 there at Lightning, I was like, yeah, I can see that as being an actual session 0. But normally I kind of escape that to like almost like a character builder kind of thing. I don't... My brain doesn't normally put that entire thing to what I would call a session 0. I usually think of a session 0 as like intro to characters assembling a team or getting together kind of thing, Like, session 0s in my brain would be like little prequels that you'd play with each individual characters that set them up, And then, like, you might have everybody just meets in a tavern as your session 0.5 or session 1 kind of thing. But I can see how the character building portion of it and actually building a group that way could be easily a session 0. I never thought of it that way usually, but I can see that.
Because I had a session 0 like that this week. Well, I guess that would be this week. Sunday's part of the new week. I don't care. Sure, it would have been this week, I guess. Where we did kind of that, like, not necessarily group character building, but every player was present and like, this is the class I would like to play, so you don't step on each other's toes job-wise.
Yeah.
And, like 4 people don't make a fucking cleric.
Or you have Jerry.
Or you have a Jerry.
And I think that, like, at very least, even if you don't call it a session 0, maybe that get-together for character building is good to discuss it, because people then can, rather than, like, I'm like, say, like, come up with some ideas, let's meet, talk about it, and then build your characters, because I think that would help balance the team,
It was also kind of helpful for me because I was like, well, I want to play a healer, but I don't want to play a cleric again because I'm already playing a cleric. And someone was like, well, Celestial Warlock's a pretty good healer. I'm like, yeah, I could play that.
Yeah, and then Pact Atonement, so you have extra spells because, otherwise Warlocks.
Or I could have just made a Dwarf Divine Soul.
Oh yeah, that would have been amazing. You probably already made the character before we talked about that.
Yeah.
But that's a really cool one.
We did sort of a session 0 for Carrion Crown, and I remember it because we got together and talked about characters mostly.
Yeah.
I think the issue then came down to a little bit of lack of familiar rust with the system, and what I say, like, I should have just done the core rules. and maybe Advanced Player's Guide at most. So, because witches fit very well in the system, I feel like, thematically. So, like, normal core rulebook, Advanced Player's Guide, here's these 2 books, have at it. It fills most of the slots that you're going to have.
There's a lot of stuff on that website.
It is too much.
It's like everything.
And a lot of it is like hidden in places it really shouldn't be.
Yeah, like navigating basic rules sometimes is like, why isn't this just said here? Yeah. And that's just probably old organization. But coming back around to the session 0 topic things, there's another opinion which I do not share. Is that I don't know if I should just quote the person who said it, but
if it's
the opinion
quote,
is that
fine,
yeah, it's Matthew Colville.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a name I've heard before.
Yeah, it's like one of the bigger D&D dudes,
wrote
apparently.
Like a book, I think.
He's written several books, but I don't think they're.
Did he write Strongholds and whatever?
Yeah, Strongholds and Followers.
Yeah, I've used that.
Yeah, I want that book after watching his stuff.
Pretty good book.
But he has the opinion that if you're all gathered together to play D&D, just play D&D. But I think that's coming from what I was saying before, of if you're an experienced player, you don't need to have the DM holding your hand when you make a character.
Yeah,
I think so. Because like, I mean, I can make a character in 30 minutes. I have friends who need like a lot of time and a lot of help making characters that are very new D&D players.
Like honestly, I could probably make a decent D&D character in 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
If I really wanted to sit down and quickly do it, throw something together. And what I could do is I could make it that it would have some character and probably fit party balance, because I'd ask, like, what does everybody have? What role can I fill? Because I'm very good at doing that, you know? That's a skill that I have, is, like, I like to ask, what is everybody else playing? I'll play this, which the party doesn't have, you know?
The bulk of my character creation time is, what race do I want to play? And I just look at that list, and I'm like, I don't fucking know, there's too many.
The thing is, like, honestly speaking, I probably still could, like, build a decent Pathfinder First E character in, like, 20 minutes, 30 minutes at most.
I could probably build a Pathfinder character quicker than...
You know.
Or about at the same time as a 5e character at this point.
I mean,
2e, I know, because I don't really know 2e that much.
Yeah.
I like giving it a little bit more time, just because then you think about, like, you know, if there's a specific build you want to do or something.
There's...
Like, Pathfinder does take more time for me, because there's some weird shit you can do with
Pathfinder. There's options, and there's the archetypes, and...
Like, the thing is that I think if it kicks experience. Like, Pathfinder has options, which is difficult to deal with, and it can make things like... And this does harken back to needing help for it, you know, which is related to our topic here. You know, you might need help, especially if you're new to Pathfinder, because there is so many options, especially if you are open to everything. But the thing is, when you really look at Pathfinder, you really have to, like, taper in the way you're looking. Like, unless I am, like, you know, for the basics of my character, usually I keep things very simple. The very, like, you know, first layer of the character. And then it's sort of like, after I build that, then I might spend some time looking through the feats, looking through the traits, you know, looking through all that stuff. But beforehand, I really am just keeping it to, like, oh, I'm playing a, you know, Sylph Rogue. Great, here's my character. And then later on I might be like, well, the Sylph feats are kind of neat, maybe I'll start taking those. Maybe I'll go into that kind of thing. You know, it's like, you know, I already knew our team didn't have, like, a charisma talker, so I'm a talker rogue. I decided on that, you know, things like that. I inquired and I learned about, like, the team, and I tried to balance with it, and I think that's something that you do need some players to do sometimes, because, like, unfortunately, it's oops all fighters. You know,
yeah.
Which again,
Oops all bards.
Oops all bards. They can it can work in any system really. Like the oops all fighters, oops all bards, even Pathfinder can work on it. But it requires tapering, editing, and planning from the DM. And it makes it more difficult, because then things are simpler. Like, if it's Oops All Fighters, there's a lot of skill checks I can't throw at fighters that they're probably not going to have. So it's sort of like, well, you can't do any of that. Any of you talkers?
Time to infiltrate the guild and sneak around and get these cultists. You're all wearing full plate armor? Well,
okay.
Yeah. You can't do that.
You're seen.
Like, even in 5th edition, you can't do that thing. You can have a functioning fighter party, but you really can't infiltrate and sneak around, probably. It's not going to work the same way.
I mean, if you restrict them to not wearing heavy armor and they're higher levels, there's some things you can do that they could technically get around, but it's not easy.
Like, theoretically, in 5th edition, all clerics, like Oops All Clerics could work, because of there's so many different clerics that are functionally different from each other.
Yeah.
But with fighters are relatively similar.
Yeah, like the Wood Elf cleric of Arcana who doesn't use any metal
Who
objects.
uses the quarterstaff and some leather armor.
And leather armor and a wooden shield, because flavor text, I guess. Whatever.
This is fine. You took the quarterstaff. Oh, you have a shield. You can't really. Okay.
I mean, you can still one-hand it, I guess. It's still a stick. You can still hit people.
Still
with
good old stick.
You have Shocking Grass? Well, Shocking Grass does more damage than a stick.
I feel like it's one of those things that, like, and this is probably, like, an entirely different discussion we should have, is the merits of party balance. And I think that's something that we should discuss at some point in time, because I feel like you don't need it, but
it's nice.
It is very nice to have, and it makes things go a lot smoother when you have party cohesion.
But the DM has everything. They control everything. They control the amount of items you get, the amount of money you get, the consumables you get. So they can just be like, oh, no one's playing a dedicated healer. I'll just have more potions.
Here's some potions, just some magic items to do healy thingies.
I think that's
I'll
a
give
thing,
you more money.
But it's sort of like, I usually, as a DM, I prefer party balance anyway, because I'm like, well, it makes things easier on both sides. Because if I'm going for Oops All Fighters and we need to worry about, all the Healy items and stuff like that, and we don't have that kind of thing, or like a lot of magic items, that's extra, like, thinking and thought process the DM has to have and has to put into mind for what they're building in there. They can't keep it just as simple. Like, the thing is, the way the game is designed to be built is around a balanced party of 4 to 5 players. So it makes it easy to build D&D or Pathfinder adventures along those lines.
I mean, this isn't really a 5e thing, but it literally used to be like rogue, wizard, fighter, cleric.
Yep.
That was it. That was your ideal party.
Yeah.
But then they expanded on that, and then you had other options.
Yeah.
And then Pathfinder in 3.5 happened, where there's so many options.
A bit too many options at times.
I feel like they are still a lot of options. It's not as bad as, like, I would say 3rd edition was. 3rd edition also was too many options, but 3rd edition did it in a very bad way, I feel like.
They just kept expanding it and not, like, tailoring things.
And they felt less balanced.
Oh yeah.
But
here's this ninja class. Oh man, that's cool. It's like a hybrid of like rogue and monk, with none of the downsides and all of the bonuses. Like, why would you ever not play monk then, if it's basically just monk plus rogue? That's awesome.
Now, I think getting back to our entire discussion on, like, the idea of the session 0, I think having some form of get-together with the players ahead of time where they can discuss things and figure out your base rules and stuff like that is probably really good.
Yeah, this is something I will say has a lot of merit with Session Zero. If you are running a darker themed campaign or a horror campaign like I am, it is good before the game to go to players and ask, what are and aren't you okay with?
Yeah.
What kind of themes outside of the obvious red flags are you not okay with? And you can also introduce this works better in the physical table. The X card rule, where you give each player a card with an X on it, and if something comes up, they can just hold that card and you speed along past it, and no one has to actually say anything. And those are things that can all be established in Session Zero for that specific kind of campaign.
Yeah. It's the unfortunate thing that kind of stuff can come up in any campaign, but like,
As we have seen.
Yeah, but those tend to be very accidental otherwise, and it becomes like a very hard thing to deal with then.
Yeah.
Like, there are certain themes that you can accidentally run across, you know, and then what the heck do you do about that? You've got to just deal with it.
Because, like, there could be people that are like, let's just say spiders, right? Let's just say spiders. Most people are creeped out by spiders. A lot of people don't care. But if you're like, oh, I have this monster, and you're like a really descriptive DM, and you're like, this huge creature starts walking forward, and they start like giving really descriptive details of like a big, huge spider, that could creep some people the hell out. That's be like, nope.
They're like they have like really bad arachnophobia.
And that's not even a deep, dark evilness.
Yeah,
it's
like,
just a spider.
Like, it could be even like not just with spiders, but just a creepiness factor of just like spider swarm. Like, it could just crawl out of the walls and like cover over people and stuff like that it's a disturbing kind of thought to have like something like just
you're covered in bugs. They're going in your mouth and stuff. That happened in one of our games. And it's like
I felt
please,
really bad.
You guys didn't take the bait and carrion crown. I love throwing cockroaches all over people.
I was so tempted to do that, but the spider thing happened first, and I felt really bad.
Cockroach swarm. I did it I did to every other team other than yours, and they're just like, what's in here? And I'm like, well, cockroaches all over everything. Enjoy.
Oh boy.
Delicious.
When you
turn into a tiny fox and eat them.
The lizard folk just start eating them.
Yeah, those are just my favorite.
Thank you, kind and benevolent DM.
I'm just gonna start quoting The Lion King as, slimy yet satisfying, or the little greenfield kind.
Oh. Nice. But I mean, even like Wizards has kind of started to realize somewhat of a value to a Session Zero, because they're putting them in their official books now. Tasha's has a section for it. Van Richten's has like a big section for it, because Van Richten is a horror book.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So I feel like there is definitely this importance that comes along with a Session Zero. Definitely. It helps a lot for the adventures you're doing. Your version of it, I guess that depends on what you need and what you want in a way.
Depends on your group.
Yeah, it really does.
Whether it's not like, whether your group can just kind of build something that works together pretty easily, needs a helping hand, or ends up you can just start the session and be like, everybody walks into a bar and they work it out somehow.
I want to do a tavern start eventually, or I'll just throw a tavern start idea at a certain other person in this call, and they can do it.
Yeah, I mean, I could. I mean, I've always been tempted to run like the wagon start, but I was in a game where we did that, and I made the you're finally awake joke and ruined it for everyone. I was like, hey, you're finally awake. Tell Howard no.
I did a prison start, and it's funny too, because I did that, and I thought I did a pretty good job, because I didn't have the players in the jail very long. It was just like amnesia and wake up in jail, because I wasn't given enough information to put them in a location. So I told them, hey, don't worry about it. I've thought of something to make it work. They don't remember how they got there. It's only later that I watched a certain video from a certain DM person who's like, hey, don't do that. They're usually bad. And it's like, I thought mine came out okay, but I mean, I was also with 2 new / returning players as well. So like, they didn't really say anything bad, but it's just kind of like, I think they were like worried of like, wait, why do we not know and why are we in jail? But basically it's like, oh, you guys aren't dead. Cool. And then like the person disappears for a while, and then like I gave them time to try and like talk to each other. They can't see each other. They're in like cells next to each other, right? But they can hear themselves, you know? And so I gave them time to like to roleplay and stuff. And one of them is like, I don't say anything, and I'm just quiet, and I just look around the room. So I'm like, all right, edgelord.
I think that's
I guess I have to have the people
let them
come
like
in.
figure it out why they're there.
Yeah.
It's a decent way to do that.
I mean, if it was more than 2 people and it was a much more RP heavy group, I could see that being a really cool start, is trying to figure out, but like not have any NPCs at all. Just have the players wake up in this dungeon and, you know, like all their gear is in the middle of the room or whatever. And like, you're in a jail cell, figure it out. I mean, I've heard that a way it could be done, and it's like, that sounds really cool to me. I like that. Because you could give all the players a little handout that's like, what is in your cell? Like, don't have them roll for it. Like, if you search your cell, these are the things you find. And then you can try and talk it out and be like, well, I got this. And, you know, you can try and, like, hand things off to other people. And then it automatically means you're going to have to trust the party you're with. And that's a little out of a session 0 topic or whatever. But it is on kind of like the 0.5 where like, you just start playing.
Well, I feel like the one that I'm going to call here that really does need a session 0 that I've known that needs one is Skulls and Shackles.
Yeah.
You start out being press gang.
Yeah.
How the hell did you get in that situation? That needs to be kind of answered, you know?
Yeah, I think that should be, if we do end up doing another stream, like an off-stream session 0.
The what is it? The player's handout. It gives you in your story traits that you pick the reason why you're there. So you can kind of hand wave most of it, but like if Tannis wanted to put in the extra work, if he was running it, you know, it'd be like, okay, well this is what this says, so I'll write a little short scene, and then like, you know, you can either roleplay it a little bit if you want, or you can be like, hey, you go here, and then like blah blah blah, you talk for a little bit, then boop, you know, you get knocked out, or you know, you get your drink spiked or something and you pass out.
I feel like I would do a little bit more for every person, you know? More than just like, it's your trait, that's why you're there. Because I mean, like, that's a good excuse when you're building writing the adventure, you know? That makes it very easy when writing it. But like, when you're actually rolling it, I feel the need to like, you know, definitely do just a little bit more to like make the characters a little bit more why I've ended up in this weird situation. And I think that would probably work pretty well. But it tells you, like, that's a situation, because, as you were saying, it's effectively the same thing as the prison. You're ending up in prison, except this time it's prison on a pirate ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, I don't have anything wrong with that concept. It's just, I think you just have to put a couple extra steps of work into it, so it doesn't just feel like, oh, it's, you know, one of these things, because it's kind of like classic, like, fantasy or D&D kind of thing. You know, oh, everyone shows up at a tavern for a job. Everyone wakes up in a jail with amnesia or whatever, or, you know.
Everyone's on a cart to the one town in Lost Mines.
Yeah.
Yeah, you all got the same job, or
convenient.
Yeah, they're all classic hooks to have a reason for these random people to be at the same spot.
Like, I also like maybe like coming up with like a group backstory, you know, or something like that, and discussing it with the players. You know, like, hey, how about all of you came from the same town? You know, come up with something like that. And, you know, give a good reason why, like, if you're an unusual race, why your family moved there, you know, beforehand. Like, if you're the one family of lizard folk in this weirdly, like, farm town, why did they move there? You know, that's...
evil cultists.
Yeah.
Evil cultists forced them to that place.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
found this weird crystal. That's why I'm here.
Yep, this weird crystal. I found a second one, which is weird. I don't think the second one should exist.
There's some weirdness going on. Just saying. Just one of those days.
Yeah.
Going back, 700 years ago when I first started running the Saturday game, as I feel we're going to be switching topics really soon.
Yeah.
I'm curious, because I kind of had an idea of how I wanted my Session 0 or 0.5 to go. It didn't go how I expected, because why would it ever go how you expect?
Exactly.
But I'm curious, because you were both there. I know we were missing two of the current players.
We didn't have Flex and we didn't have Umber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you guys, it's like a boat trip, right? You all got on a boat. Was my idea was you all are on this boat and you're sailing over there, and it's like, I guess some of you could have been here for now. And everyone was like, yeah, I've been here for this long. I've been here for this long.
Only Marty.
One person...
Yeah, only Marty was the fresh off the boat new arrival.
Yeah.
And maybe that was
I think
on
that actually
me.
kind of worked out pretty well.
It did work, but
because it gravitated us to this new guy.
Yeah,
we
but
had no idea this person.
if you were all on the boat, you could have had some roleplay of the trip on the way over, so that you guys are stuck on this boat. You talk to anybody on this weeks-long journey. No? Well, then you're just a weirdo. So I personally didn't enforce it too hard, because I like players having options, players having choice. And so that's why I presented if you wanted to already be here and be established, that's fine. I'll give you some contacts.
I actually think being on the boat would have been a good start.
But I didn't want to force it, because I hate when it's like, oh, this is what's going on because I said so.
It's very module-y when you have everyone has the same start, right?
Yeah. So I thought it went okay, but I'm curious of what both of you.
I enjoyed it. It was actually one of the first times, because most DMs I've played do everyone has kind of you meet in a tavern, or you're on a cart, or you're in prison, have to the kind of group meeting all at once. It was actually kind of interesting that everyone was kind of completely separate for a bit, going about their life, and then met up.
I think it was a fine kind of way of setting things up. It felt established, and with, I think, at least it felt appropriate for my character development.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I made the charisma talker, but I originally didn't make the leader type character. That's what I didn't want to do. But as I've said, I took the inspiring leadership feat because I'm well, I think that's something my character might want to try to do more of, because freaking Kelmer died, and we needed someone to sort of be the leader, I feel now, and we didn't have that.
I do like that the start did allow me to establish Roland so long ago when Roland existed.
Yeah.
Technically Rip Roland. When Roland was just the fucking retail worker who hated his job.
He's just a dude that works at the general store.
Yeah.
I need work.
I hate this life.
I'll just work at a thing. Because the way
making minor potions at a general store.
Yeah. Because I think what it was is Kelmer was kind of established already with the Adventurers Guild.
Yeah.
And he worked at the docks for his part-time thing, which really worked out great, but it also fit his background. And so when the new boat comes in, you see this elf guy or whatever coming off the boat. And, that was Tantus's character, Marty. And they had a conversation. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm staying here. I can show you. And then, I think you technically knew Kelmer as Roland, but you hadn't interacted a lot.
Kelmer's friend. And kind of only friend. Roland's a fucking weirdo. Roland was a fucking weirdo.
He still wore the mask at that point.
And Kelmer was just
Kelmer is just
the most chill person.
He was
fine with everything.
He's like, you're wearing a mask. He's like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's a cool mask, bro.
Yeah, cool mask, bro. Some people in my tribe wear that kind of thing. Probably like thinks of like, you know, like because he's tribal culture. I imagine like their shaman wearing a mask or something, you know, like a.
The idea is it may still come up. Roland's whole order, I guess Viren is still technically part of it.
Yeah, I mean,
was the healing monks, but they prefer to stay kind of like more an anonymous kind of thing, so like people don't, you know, give them shit.
Vengeance upon you for failing to heal us. It's like, sorry, you were already too far gone. I did my best. You know, we established a lot of fun, like early lore stuff. It didn't go how I imagined, but I still think it came out pretty good.
D&D.
Yeah.
Sometimes
like
you have a planned thing, and then sometimes you have a planned thing, and then sometimes an old man steals from a church.
Oh,
you need to write up a bunch of shit for that.
Or does the old man shoot Eldritch Blast at a ghost? And I'm beginning to see a
I'm starting to find the Jerry character.
Oh no, the old man is Jerry. He's gone senile.
This makes sense. This makes perfect sense.
And then he dies.
Yeah. But no. Yep. A session 0 in some form. I think it's useful. The form it takes. Up to you.
Depends on the group. Yep. Depends on the group. Depends on the game.
Yes.
Shall we hit up our weekend tabletop?
Yeah, why not?
Oh, that's right. We still have to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can start with your game from last week.
You guys didn't really do anything.
Someone paid some children to dig through the trash.
Yeah. It's kind of like Helmer had died, and so Joe's new character came in, and was just like, I'm going to explore the town. I'm like, all right, so how much roleplay do you want to do? It's like, oh, not really that much. And so I'm like, just to throw a little wrench in there, I'm like, yeah, you just see a random dude or whatever. He's throwing some crap away. I go steal the crap. All right, it's like scrap metal or something, you know? And it's like, cool, I'm going to put it in my bag. And it's like, all right, you got the scrap metal. What does the scrap metal look like? Well, let's reference something because I can and it's funny. It's vaguely humanoid. And then 2 hours later, we're finally done with that.
Yeah. Here's how downtime went. Marty and new character's name I don't know yet, or remember yet. Williger dug through trash.
Yeah. Well, Marty didn't dig through any trash.
Marty paid some children to dig through the trash.
I was not digging through the trash.
Dranthier didn't leave his house.
Yeah, Dranthier owns a house.
Roval left the city.
Yeah, Roval just wandered off.
Viren spent most of the time in a form of a small fox, doing dumb shit. Lounging around.
There was a big talk with a blacksmith after some stuff that happened. There was a talk with
shrine people talk.
Yeah, shrine people talk. A lot of that stuff we just did like before or after the session.
Yeah.
Because
it would take up a lot of time.
Yeah, like if it's something that's really quick or like the entire party can be involved in it, it's fine to roleplay all that stuff out. But a lot of it is just like, this is like me personal stuff. So I would rather just be like, all right, you have a conversation about that, and then we'll go back to it later, and either we'll have a group call or we'll just text and we'll figure it out. And I think that's a really good way of establishing a lot of personal roleplay and stuff without taking up every one of the table's time.
Yeah, because Viren did a lot of stuff, but I, as a player, didn't really do that much.
Yeah. Well, I think that's like that's something else that I think could comment on it is like you eat. That's very good, unless you're stream game where you need to do that.
Unless the stream game, yeah, where you can't really do that.
But I also like how like
harder to do on a stream.
Harder to do on a stream game, yeah, because people want to know about what happened.
All the Isnara stuff would be really weird on stream. Yeah. That's all private Patreon stuff.
Yeah.
I'd have to like if it was a stream game, I think I would have to just everything that's happened with Viren storyline wouldn't exist if it was a stream game.
Yeah.
Because I just wouldn't have the time for it.
Yep.
Because I have to make time for all the other players, and I can't have this really good like one-on-one roleplay thing because they'd have to stream it.
It'll all be gone when Viren dies.
Oh yeah, I really don't want that to happen.
No, I like Viren.
Yeah.
Don't kill me.
Marty, I think, tried to get some more reputation stuff with the town, because I think Marty's got some plans.
I don't know if that was this downtime or last.
No, that was last downtime I was doing reputation plans.
Man, I don't remember.
We take breaks like crazy.
A lot.
Apparently.
This was me attempting to basically act as like a de facto leader of the group.
To be fair, though,
be like,
we did lose a member. We kind of need.
Yeah. So, like, I was, like, taking care of all the other business that, like, our group would have needed to take care of, like, thanking all the people that helped us.
Stuff.
I'm gonna be 100% honest here. Viren already considered Marty the leader. Viren already considered that, because the other option is Dranther, who yells a lot.
Well, I think it's the thing that, like, Viren might have considered that, but Marty wasn't really considering that until recently now.
Viren was like, you talk a lot and make plans? Sure. You're the leader, I guess.
I think it didn't really matter to someone like Kelmer or Roval either. They just kind of go with the flow, both of them did,
Yeah. Having direction
went with the flow.
in a group.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need like a party leader. You just need someone who will give you a very good like, hey, we should do this. Here's some good reasons why. Yeah. And then force the rest of the people in the group to decide. Or have someone else come up with an idea. If no one else has a better idea, then we're doing this.
I think it's when you say the word leader, it has a connotation, but there are various different forms of leaders, There is like I'm in charge of this group, you listen to what I say, in like
a king.
Like the king or like the destined hero kind of person.
Yeah.
Who's very like personality front. And then there's the people that are like, hey, this is just what we're doing. They're very simple about it. They kind of say that. They might like ask advice or talk with people occasionally, which is kind of what I'm trying to go for more of like, like, hey, I think we should do this. Let's talk about
opinion?
It. Yeah, let's talk about it. And then I'll come up with the final decision because, from that.
We've all decided that this Marty leads us. Marty gets the final say.
I think we should have the Tiny Fox be the leader.
Yeah.
What do you say, Tiny Fox? Yep. Great. Okay, that's
rip and tear? Excellent until it's done.
But so that
bloodthirsty Tiny Fox.
I then on Sunday had the 5e game where I'm the Luxodon, where we
never forgets.
We never forgets to kill, and I did it this time because I face tanked an undead phase spider.
Oh my god, nice.
And I unfortunately faced a situation of twice failing Constitution saves versus poison when I have like I think a +7.
You also have advantage.
Do I have advantage against poisons?
I don't know. Do you?
I'm
not in that game.
I don't think I had advantage against the poison.
But you should have been a dwarf then. Get advantage.
Well, I still rolled like I believe a 2 and a 3.
Oh no, that's really bad.
I was rolling really terribly.
Like when I was fighting you as a super high level boss who should have theoretically murdered the entire party, but I rolled like garbage. Which is good for you guys.
Yeah, no, I lived, but it was not a pleasant living. I'm just saying because I just was face tacking it.
There's
very badly poisoned here.
It's like, oh god,
badly poisoned.
Giant spider monster poison, so horrible.
Spiders.
So that was a thing, and now according to lore, at least in my character's mind, Luxodons are weak versus phase spider poison. It's one of those little known facts.
No one's ever researched it.
Yeah.
And no one wants to research it.
No one wants to research it. We had the finale of Records.
We did have the finale of Records.
I'm sad I didn't get an invite and a character sheet to play as some kind of demon.
The devil. He plays a devil.
Whatever.
You kept saying demon.
They're actually they're different.
They're actually different. Yeah.
Actually.
Look. All I had was a lot of interesting things happen and some enjoyable story resolution.
Yeah.
Asmocon didn't go quite as planned, but
it went exactly as planned. I'm not sure.
One or both.
It's probably fine.
It was fine. And, I think everybody had a decent resolution for their characters.
We got the gang together, we destroyed an entire city.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
I was there to watch. It was, I liked the wrap-up. Having characters be able to be, tell their own story of, how would you retire? That's a nice little thing, because instead of just, this is what the adventure would say. I mean, it wasn't an adventure path or whatever, right? Yeah. But, instead of just being boom, it's over, and you walk away, or, you've saved the world, and, some cliffhanger bullcrap.
No.
It's nice that if you're ending a game, to have the resolution in the player's hands.
Well, I figured that's kind of what it was going to be, a little bit of. It's just, what is it that your character's aiming for, and, here's how it would resolve, over all that time kind of thing. So, things don't always go exactly as planned, so it's sort of I could easily throw together, this is what happened to Mishka, this is what happened to Vercel, and this is what happened to Dox, and it's...
Something happened to Thursday, no idea.
Yeah, if I'd heard more from Jess, at least, I could have come up with a story resolution for Thursday, but unfortunately...
It worked, though.
It worked that, a lot of interesting things happened still, and there was some good story resolution, I feel like,
It's just kind of... No one really knows. Yeah. I mean, that's a very valid way to end something, is where...
Yeah, not everything's certain or known.
Yeah. You guys were together doing this big, huge, crazy thing, and it's kind of what brought you together, and now that it's over, we just kind of went off on their own ways.
And I may have hinted that, she rescued a certain man who was fighting a powerful devil, and, drew him off by setting off some explosives,
That sounds like fun.
And who knows what happened to the two of them then, if
Probably they
buddy
started
cop
a dragon
drama.
cult.
Yeah, cop trauma somewhere.
No. They started a dragon cult and created a evil shadow dragon man.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to say, I had a little influence for all the for most of the characters, that I gave you, Bob and, Marcus and Macias, and Travis was, I imagined him, kind of like the guy from No More Heroes.
Who's also named Travis.
Yes, that's where I got his name from. But I made him a little bit, less ridiculous, but I imagined it's the same kind of thing, over the top, kind of crazy battle royale that he was a part of or something, Because it's a fantasy world. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, but, we didn't have Legacies or Star Trek, did I? I think I was
don't think so.
Off Tuesday completely. Legacies, it just ended up with kind of canceling out, and then I think at that point in time, I've got to be honest, I was also okay with canceling because that was the midst of the heat wave, and if you might notice, I still have fan noise in the background. I have a second fan, so I have more circulation. I had one. I will tell you, Wednesday, I think it was, I woke up feeling like death.
Yeah, no, it was the same over here. It was awful.
My nice bed here.
74 degrees outside here today.
It's 70 something.
Yeah, it's nice and cool. My bottom sheet ended up catching my fan and blocking it the entire time.
Oh no!
So overnight, I was just in the heat.
That wakes me up.
Awful.
I will wake up in an awful sweat and be like, oh,
I woke up very dehydrated twice. The first time I fixed it, but then it was only a couple more hours of sleep, but I was already just messed up from the first time, and so I just had to spend half the day trying to feel better by the time we had our conversation where I'm like, I'm mostly alive now.
Oh, I remember that.
I function.
Where we're discussing what we're doing next time. I think, like, Skulls and Shackles is going forward, and, you know, still going to be definitely a few weeks before I worry about it, but, you know, I think that might be tentatively Wednesdays for when we stream it sometime in the afternoon.
And then something else that came up a little bit later, because we forgot to talk about it in our meeting, which we then spent like 2 hours this morning talking about.
You spent 2 hours because you did suggest that maybe Starfinder, because I've talked about Starfinder, also running some of it. I actually wouldn't mind it. I think I would probably want to take some time anyway, because I want to read through it, all the Starfinder rules again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know anything other than like the character concept I want to do because it sounds cool as hell.
I have my character concept. I
gotta also be honest. I'm probably gonna go for a pre-made adventure too on that one. I'm just gonna have to.
That would probably be a good idea.
Yeah, that would be for the best.
Because I think like that was one of the things I didn't do with Carrying Crown. Because I actually had a really nice conversation with Umber later on Wednesday where we talked a little. Where I'm like, yes, Pathfinder has its issues. Here's the list of all the other issues which didn't help. Things like, I didn't pertain the venture is built for 4 to 5 standard adventuring party.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't taper it to your characters at all.
I have a feeling it would have been better if I just went with my cleric or paladin I was originally gonna play.
Dude, if you had made a paladin, Ling would probably still be in the party.
You know?
Like, I probably could have salvaged Ling and just turned them into some kind of weird, not sorcerer character.
I was originally going to do a paladin.
Yeah. A paladin would have just solved 95% of your problems.
A paladin would have absolutely destroyed Harrowstone.
I gotta be honest, like, it's one of those things that I should have thought about, too, is, like, either having a paladin, a cleric, an actual cleric, an oracle who starts by building that, you know, a life cleric who can get the channel right away, or as a backup, an inquisitor right away changes a lot of shit. You know,
like I'll be honest, I would actually be kind of interested in doing it properly.
Yeah, well, I feel like
writing it again to me just feels like putting the hamster back in the mouse wheel. Because you've already experienced all of it, so it's just like, here we go again.
Yeah, I've experienced half of it, so...
I feel like
the first adventure, though, is kind of a slog.
I feel like
a little bit.
Because we have the storyline, what I could do sometime is I could play the fourth adventure on its own.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to do that because I feel like it would pertain much better to be its own story. And then maybe if we wanted to do what is the resolution of the Whispering Way storyline, we could just do the 5th and 6th adventures. Honestly, we could just have it be like, hey, you know, here's the basic storyline of what happened. Professor got murdered. You found out it was the Whispering Way. You tracked down and killed Oren Vrood and got vengeance for the for the professor. But you found out whatever crazy plans he was working on, he sent what he had been working on away to the capital. Okay, you're at the capital. You got to figure out, because the Whispering Way, they're still doing their plans. You know, the reason why Oren Vrood murdered the professor. You know, it's you're still involved.
I can see that.
Yeah,
it could work. Yeah,
because we've already experienced that first part of the adventure, and I'm sure there's a little bit of stuff you could change. It's a module, and they don't have a lot of wiggle room written in the books.
Yeah, you got to go outside it very heavily a lot of times.
You'd really have to like start writing your own thing, and if you're writing your own thing, why did you even start with the module?
Well, it's what I've said about like what I'm going to do with something like Skulls and Shackles. I'm using it as a little bit more of a outline.
Kickstart?
Yeah, like here's the outline I have. I'm going to then just play with a lot of it. Like I have all the NPCs established. Mm-hmm. If I need their stats, I got their stats. You know, something like that. I can look up DCs for things if I need to look them up, but I can just sort of play things a little bit more fast and loose and not rely on the module as much, which is something you can do, you know.
I think that works better for that.
Harrowstone. Or with carrying crowd, it'd be a little hard to do.
Carrying crowd, because of the nature of the story, doesn't work. But I feel like
it sets the plot up so early.
You don't have a boat in carrying crowd that you sail around the land with, and you can pick and choose where you want to go.
Yeah.
This is the adventure that we have written for you. Here is the path to walk down. There's a couple branching paths, but they all go back to the main story.
Well, I have to admit, the first module of Skulls and Shackles is pretty straightforward, because it's like, it's the intro. Your intro. You've been press ganged. And then the entire thing of, okay, now that you're press ganged, getting out of press ganging, getting your own ship. That's kind of what the first adventure is. All these things.
Which is fine.
Yeah. And
it's the tutorial.
Yeah.
All adventures have them.
Yeah, and then
it's the 1 to 3 or 1 to 5 tutorial where, like, all right, now you're established in the world. What do you want to do?
Mm-hmm. And there's a term that I can't remember right now, but it's like squib, which is like when you like erase a ship's identity and replace it or something, which is something that you'll be doing.
Yeah.
I think of scrub, but I don't know about squib.
It's a weird nautical term or something weird like that,
Kraken. We're gonna kraken a boat. Those are things in the water.
Kraken a boat. But anyway.
Which is the name of my character? I'll be Kraken the Kraken.
Anybody else have anything on Wednesday or Thursday during the day?
No.
Okay.
We did have a Friday game.
Blanked out for those 2 days.
I did have Children of Wrath, which I think they did a pretty good job. They finished their interview with the evil man that they have now kind of imprisoned, and then they decided to experiment with his weapon collection for a little bit while looking for his keys.
Safe. Safe and fine.
I was watching another stream, so I had 2 streams open. One was D&D, one which was the Dishonored 2, and while I'm watching Dishonored 2, I hear my name come up several times because they're shooting lightning guns.
Yeah, they found
what?
They
Why
found
are
like
they asking about me?
They found a lightning cannon.
So it's like, oh no.
This seems safe.
Look,
so many things exploded. Apparently,
they have a lightning cannon, a frost gun, we'll call it, a lava gun, a device which functions like a gun that functions a little bit like vampiric touch.
Oh no!
So it like tasers something and draws its life force, and then has like a convenient spigot on top where you can drink from it.
Oh no!
But I've also established the liquid you get out is addictive.
No!
I love that.
Because you're drinking the life force of something.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's cursed.
They have a kind of disintegration ray, which has the unfortunate effect of accidentally also slowly disintegrating anything around it, because it kind of like creates a cone, but then the cone isn't really contained, so like the user starts slowly.
Cone of disintegration?
Kind of. But it also kind of disintegrates the user.
Oh,
that's fine.
Neat.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I hope that you guys do some things in my game, because I have plans and I really want to talk about them next week. But we did have a Momo game.
We did have my game, and I killed a player, and I feel kind of bad. So they're not really dead.
I mean, they're dead.
They're kind of dead. I have rules for circumventing death. So they went in there doing the dungeon, and it's going.
Zombies attacked us.
Fine, yeah, a bunch of zombies. That went fine. They found out the people that they were supposed to be protecting are actually werewolves, and were fine themselves. They may have just been bored.
It's like, don't worry. It's like some NPCs show up. It's like, don't worry, we got this. And then they're like blah, 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 and just turn into werewolves. I'm like, oh god, no. I load a silver bullet.
They have just been bored and in the city and looking for something to do.
Here's some zombies we can chew on.
Well, that's fucking thunder. Nice. And then they went into this abandoned temple, which I designed myself, and I think I did a decent job designing the dungeon. And then it fell apart because they went into this storage room, which had two windows to like a courtyard saw a wraith, and they're like, "What if we blasted this wraith?" And
with Eldritch Blast.
They did that, and the wraith ran away. But wraiths are smart, so it got its other friends and ran through the wall to go and beat them up. And the way they were like, oh yeah, they're not gonna, we don't have to be defensive, they're not gonna show up, and they were gonna go into another room. And the warlock was in the back, who was very squishy, and the wraiths came through the wall right beside the warlock and were like, fuck you.
Right after I had left that position to go and look in the other room to be like, what's going on?
So
why is it so pretty in here?
Two wraiths slapped this man.
For like 40 something damage.
Both rolls were 27 damage.
Which is the drain your life force maximum HP damage.
Those were supposed to be separate encounters.
Oh, I have done that before, where someone runs away and the party's like, haha, we're winning. And it's like, haha, no, he's gonna get his friends.
Those were meant to be. It was each of those encounters was just supposed to be one wraith and one specter. But no, it went and got his friend because it was mad, and it slapped an old man to death, which apparently did exactly enough.
Exactly 0 hit points, and that's with temporary HP.
Yeah, and that was with the armor of Agathis.
Yeah.
So he died, and then they smacked the wraiths to death, because wraiths are actually, like, when they're in an open space, they're not actually that dangerous.
They moonbeamed.
Yeah, when they get moonbeamed, they're smart. They're not going to stay there. They're going to run away from the burning radiant energy.
What you talking about?
I hope they were vulnerable to radiant, because fuck them especially. I rolled so bad on all my freaking damage rolls.
You did roll really badly. Then they explored a little more, and then they fought some sword wraiths, which are an enemy I've never used before.
And I spent a $50 high explosive round and missed because I had advantage.
Expensive magical ammo, and you rolled like a 2 and a 3.
So I'm like, oh well, those miss.
Yep, that's 50 gold gone.
Yep, rip that money.
That's a painful one.
But yeah, they got some nice revenge because they were smart and peeked their way through a door before kicking it open for once.
Yeah.
And they saw, oh, there's a big boss lady who they'd seen before. She's at a desk doing something, and they Rainbow Six sieged the room and breaching charged the door and just focus blasted this poor vampire for 71 damage.
I also nat 20'd an intelligence check that I shouldn't have been allowed to roll.
And yeah, because I forgot you didn't actually see that lady.
But I mean, you could have been like, yeah, they look like a vampire. That's a really intelligent guess. So I loaded some silver bullets, and
it wouldn't have been a problem, but she rolled like a 2 on her initiative. And went last. And then they continued to blast her.
So that was Eldritch Crab scenario.
Yeah.
I rolled really bad on the
she had rogue stuff she could have done.
Oof.
And then there are two mooks were like, I'm out, and went into the ethereal plane and fucked off.
Yeah.
So next time we encounter a vampire, give them legendary actions.
Yep.
Just from now on.
She was only a CR5. To be fair,
it doesn't matter. Any boss you throw at us from now on, give them legendary actions to allow them to do things that are not on their turn.
And then they went upstairs, saw some ghosts chill, and decided not to shoot them, which was the best idea, because ghosts are dangerous. And then they went into a room. Someone rolled a really good perception check and saw a chest in there was breathing.
Nat 20 and my 10 perception.
They were like,
so we should 30 perception.
We should not mess with that. And then one character was like, I kick it. I kicked the chest.
So then it came alive.
It came alive.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Smacked them for 27 damage.
And then I stepped backwards and got tongued.
Yeah, you got hit by a tongue for
damage.
A lot of damage.
Oof.
And then my favorite part was Lindsay's character was grappled, escaped the grapple, but because the thing had its turn before Lindsay did that, it got a reaction to hit Lindsay. You're grappled again. Get back here.
Yeah, because it's sticky.
Yeah.
I found a ring.
You did find a weird ring that burned everyone but you.
which I thought was interesting and funny because basically the old man's like, "Oh, a magical ring, yes, mine. Oh God, it burns. I don't want this. Here you go, Chaz." I'm like, all right. So Chaz like held it while he identified it and was like, "I don't know how to explain how this item works. Fundamentally."
In terms of like game, like in terms of in world, yeah, it's a weird one to explain.
Yeah. But then so it's kind of like, careful bleeding around it because it'll like hurt you. So I'm like, oh, well, I don't want that then. So I offered it to somebody else if they wanted it, and they're like, yeah, sure. So they touch it and they're like, ow, it burns. And so I'm like, all right, this is weird. But then I'm like, well, those two people are like super cursed, so maybe it's a cursed ring or something. So I offered it to the elf, who's not cursed
The
yet.
only normal person in the party.
And they're like, well, it kind of burns. I don't think I want this.
It burns a little bit.
So then I'm like, it's a memeing at this point. I'm like joking. So it's like, hey, Mia, which is our paladin NPC. I'm like, hey, do you want this? And she's like, no, I don't want that anywhere near me. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'll put it in the bag of holding. But then the bag of holding apparently is canonically on the elf. So I'm like, I guess I'll just put it in a pocket. But like in character wise, I don't know what this ring is. It's some weird ring that hurts all my friends.
Yeah.
Or maybe not friends, people that I travel with.
Yeah, your co-workers.
But like,
it's a weird item mechanically, and I'm kind of happy with what I made with it.
Yeah, because it gives a very, very powerful effect. I think it's like once a day or something.
It's very strong, but you have to spend hit die to use it.
Yeah, it has a penalty to use it, so it's not just like, I use this really awesome
spell.
You
don't mechanically. It's you can spend two of your hit die to cast plane shift.
Yeah, and then you automatically are fatigued.
And then you are automatically fatigued because there's no chance for the spell to fail.
Yeah.
So that's how I have to balance it. You get a point of exhaustion because you just bled you dry a bit.
Yeah, you have to rest to basically recover. Hopefully I don't have to use it, but like character-wise, they still don't know what it is, so they're gonna have someone else identify it to try and have someone who knows how to explain things better, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, that was a good week in gaming.
Yeah.
It was a good session there.
Yeah.
Rip vampire lady.
Rip that vampire.
Also,
71 damage. You did steal her boots.
Anyway, yes, you stole her shoes. Very good. So, I think we should go just because we can't go too late. And you get ready for
we have an hour and a half for a game.
And I have to go do something before the game.
Yeah, so that's what I had to do too. I had to do something for games. So, thanks everyone who joined us today. I hope you had a good rest of your week. Enjoyable time. Thank you, Lightning and Momo, for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the show, learning about some interesting games we had, interesting discussion topic, and some interesting things that came out. Theoretically, I'll be back with hopefully a few of these folks next week for the next Discussing Tabletop, Saturday, 2 p.m. Hopefully this week I'll be having Legacies of Kain on Tuesday, 2 p.m. EST, and of course Records of Evil at 9. And also Star Trek on Tuesday at 9 on Funny One's channel. So, those are my shout-outs. Either of you have any kind of shout-outs?
Nope. I don't have anything to shout out.
No, streaming hurts my brain, and so I don't anymore.
Well, I hope everybody has a great rest of your day. Stay safe, stay sane, stay healthy, and hopefully join us next time. But until then, farewell.
Bye-bye.